Pipeline Studio is about understanding your workflow and knowing when it's running smoothly. Containment. Whether ideas stay put. Once an idea has been captured, something subtle changes. It's no longer just a thought. It exists somewhere. And at first, that feels like relief. Your mind lets go. The pressure drops. You move on. But then something happens. You come back to the idea, not to work on it, not to advance it, just to check on it. You open the note, you reread the message, you glance at the document, not because anything is wrong, but because you're not fully convinced it's safe. This is where most systems quietly break down, not at capture, but immediately after. Because capture answers only one question. Did the idea arrive anywhere at all? Containment answers a different one. Will it stay there without my attention? Containment isn't about organization. It isn't about folders or tags or naming things correctly. Containment is about stability. It's the difference between placing something on a solid surface and setting it on the edge of a table. Technically, both count as putting it down, but only one lets you walk away without glancing back. If your system doesn't feel stable, your brain compensates. It rechecks, it revisits, it rephrases. You don't trust that the idea will still be there in the same form if you don't keep an eye on it. So you hover. This is why people rewrite notes they've already written, why they move ideas between tools, why they copy things just in case. On the surface, it looks like diligence. Underneath, it's uncertainty, a lack of containment. Ask yourself this. When you capture an idea, does it stay where you put it? Or does it slowly migrate from note to note, from app to app, from system to system? Does it become clearer or just more duplicated? For many people, ideas don't live in one place. They echo. They exist in multiple versions, none of which feel final enough to trust. So the brain keeps one copy active, just in case. And that defeats the purpose of capture entirely. Because containment isn't about storing ideas. It's about relieving the mind of responsibility. If the system can't be trusted to hold the idea as is, the brain keeps holding it too. That's when systems start to feel heavy. Not because they're complex, but because they don't reduce load. They ask for maintenance. They require supervision. They demand reassurance. A good container doesn't ask to be checked. It just holds. You don't think about it. You don't wonder where things went. You don't feel the urge to verify. You know. And knowing frees attention. This is why people feel busy even when they have captured everything. The ideas are technically there, but they don't feel settled. So nothing downstream flows cleanly. Processing feels premature. Action feels forced, not because the ideas are wrong, but because they never fully came to rest. Containment is the moment an idea stops drifting, where it becomes inert until you deliberately pick it up again. And until that happens, your system is still leaking attention. So before you think about moving ideas forward, before you try to make progress, ask a quieter question. When I put an idea down, does it stay put? Or does my mind feel the need to keep watch? In the next segment, we'll look at what happens once an idea is both captured and contained. What it means to touch an idea again, not to reassure yourself, but to actually move it forward. That's processing, but not yet, because when an idea exists in multiple places, it doesn't feel distributed. It feels unstable, each copy slightly different, each version missing something the others have, each one raising the quiet question of which is the real one. So the mind stays alert, Not actively thinking, just monitoring. This is the cost most people don't see. Containment failure doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like low-level vigilance, a background process running all day. You don't feel overwhelmed, you feel unsettled. And that subtle tension adds up. It shows up when you sit down to focus and feel resistance before you begin. It shows up when you avoid processing ideas because touching them feels heavier than it should. It shows up as hesitation, not because you don't know what to do, but because nothing feels fully grounded. A stable container doesn't create momentum, it creates rest. And rest is what allows momentum to happen later. When an idea is truly contained, you don't feel the need to prepare it, protect it, or perfect it. You trust that it will be exactly where you left it when you're ready to return. Until that trust exists, everything else in the pipeline is premature. This concludes this session. Let what you've heard settle before continuing.